Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of three opinionated guys with mics and too much free time. Strong enough to stop a speeding movie rumor, more powerful than a bad comic book event, able to waste hours of time asking stupid questions to people who have better things to do. It's Dave, Ben, and John. It's Superhero Speak.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Pen Pineapple Apple Pen Hour, where sorry.
Wrong podcast again, Dave.
Damn it. Hey everyone, you're listening to Superhero Speak, and I'm your host Dave.
And Ben.
And the sponge under the sea, apparently. I have no idea what this is.
It's just the latest stupid internet thing that has everyone's attention for a minute.
I'm just glad I got my own name right this time.
It must have only been a minute because, like you said, I haven't caught on to it yet, and I've been pretty diligent about my YouTube research lately.
YouTube research.
I believe it was exactly 52 seconds.
Yes.
51. I'm playing it right
now. Yes, but we're not here to talk about pineapples or pens or apples.
Unless they're pertinent. If we were reviewing Psych, then there might be some pineapples.
Oh, that is true.
But that show is long gone, unfortunately.
Yes.
Yeah, that was kind of sad.
And I'm not currently binge watching that.
Watch everything except the last season.
Well, I don't know. I was okay with the last season, too. They got cameo happy, and I admit it was kind of fun. They were playing with themselves at that point.
Well,
not
it was when...
Not in a weird way.
It was when
the minute it came out of my mouth, I knew. And that one, too.
Yeah. But it was when the two actors started dating each other that in real life that it just seemed like all of a sudden Sean went from the 98-pound weakling he was supposed to portray to this bulked up guy. And then, you know, it didn't seem like they were trying anymore. The acting went downhill. I mean, they were having fun, but.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I can't think of the actress's name, but she was leaving to go do another show.
Yeah.
Which didn't carry.
Which made them wrap up Psych, and then, yeah, that show got canceled.
It happens.
So, good choice.
No. But anyway, before we start, I guess we should address the elephant in the room.
Hey, I'm looking to lose some weight. It's an ongoing issue.
All right, this is going to take 1.5 sips of blackberry brandy before we can deal with an elephant. If it were a pygmy elephant, I could do one.
First of all, that whole soundbite needs to be captured.
There we go.
and posted out of context on the internet somewhere.
Okay. Oh, good.
That could be the next pineapple pen.
Yes.
So which part of the elephant am I touching? Am I touching the tail, the trunk, or the middle?
Hey, if you're taking a couple sips of brandy to brace for it, then I'm thinking you're getting the rear end.
Yeah, definitely. No, so
guys, you're so nice.
No one noticed though that we didn't have an episode last week.
We didn't?
No. You see, you didn't even notice.
I did.
And
it doesn't mean, but go ahead.
I'm still catching up on my podcast, so I haven't gotten to that gap yet.
And that was due to technical difficulties on my end. I completely lost the recording. And it was actually an interview too, so
well, let's face it, it's because you couldn't pronounce his name and you got pissed off.
No, because it was an easy name. It was
an English name. It couldn't get much simpler.
Yes, it was Sam.
But we're talking
Johnson.
Dave here.
That's true.
Yeah, so we have talked it over with Sam and apologized to him. And we will have him on again soon.
Did you give him the coupons? You gave him the coupons, didn't you?
I gave him the coupon. Yes, of course.
Coupons at Dunkin' Donuts for anybody we diss.
Yes. Well, and free hugs from you was the other coupon book.
No, that's the punishment.
I mean, there was some confusion because he asked for a basket of biscuits for compensation for it, and we got it completely wrong.
So I said,
it was an impromptu vacation for us.
Yeah, so we will be rescheduling that sometime soon. But we have we're booked for the next month, guys. So we gotta get through this. So tonight, or whenever you're listening to this,
right?
We're going to talk about two of the biggest premieres that have happened so far this season.
Squirrel Girl! Oh, sorry.
No,
not yet.
Squirrel,
not yet,
Squirrel Girl yet. Did you calm
Someday.
down?
Lucifer?
No.
Oh, come on. It's Dark Horse Comics.
The first one was on Amazon Prime, and I hope everyone saw The Tick.
Oh my God, you have to see The Tick. You must go. In fact, turn us off. Go to Amazon, get a Prime membership, and watch The Tick now. I am telling you, you have to do this. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, that just spewed out. I have no idea where that came from.
I will say, I mean, it's part of their pilot season, so there's only the 1.5-hour episode as sort of a palate wetter out there. It's yet to be determined whether a full series is going to be greenlit, but it seems, as far as the reviews of it seems to be getting positively received, and it seems like it's a good possibility. But I will say, for my own part in watching it, like, I was skeptical about Peter Serafinovich in the lead role as the Tick, but I think he nailed it. I think he hit the hammer on the head perfectly.
Yes,
he did. It was just beautiful to watch. Just the way he just portrayed complete and utter insanity. It was wonderful. And
I don't know.
You guys have seen the. Go ahead. What are you saying?
I don't know if insanity is the right word. I've always it's
wacky cluelessness.
Yeah, it's blissful ignorance of how the real world works
and reality in general. Yeah.
Well, it's see, this is another one of those debates on the the dark web or whatever. But because you don't want to talk about the Tick in daylight, because God, people would see that you've watched it. But that not for our listeners, go ahead and watch it anyway. We won't tell anybody. But one of the debates is, this is another super sanity debate where the Tick is either completely insane or he's super sane and he's seeing things about, he's breaking the fourth wall himself and seeing how things are going out, which would go toward his monologues about how he's seeing how fate is tying things together. So it leaves you wonder. It's like in the original cartoon, not the cartoon. I mean the actual comic book. They had one point where Arthur was sitting there and the Tick had been using the Viewmaster as like a evil detector or something, and Arthur's like, yeah, he's completely insane. And at one point, there's one panel where Arthur's looking through the Viewmaster just like for the hell of it, and he's seeing all these controls and specs coming out and all that, and then he blinks and it's gone, and he's sitting there like, what the hell was that? So you always wonder if the Tick is like actually seeing that this is a cartoon being written of which he's part of, and that he sees how fate is tying things together and the way things are going. It's actually pretty cool, and they played it perfectly in this.
Right. And I mean, it's funny because, I mean, the Tick's been around since, I think, 1988 was when the comic was first came out. And then there was an earlier version on TV.
Oh, God, no, don't look at that. Don't. There are better things to watch, like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Well,
that's like high, that's high art compared to that turd that was the TV version. Ugh.
Which is a shame, honestly, because I like Patrick Warburton.
And he was perfect.
I love him in so many things, and he seemed like the perfect fit for that role, like both in his voice and his build and his demeanor. Like he should be able to pull off that role splendidly. I didn't actually ever watch that show, and it seems like I dodged a bullet there.
Yeah,
it was the writing. It was definitely the writing, because there was just too many potty sex jokes. It became not really funny. It was like a parody of what the original concept was. The cartoon was brilliant and just hysterical. It was
absolutely.
Well, I mean, I think it was a case of the writers didn't love the source material or weren't as aware of the source material as the fans.
They had the concept, but not the roadmap.
Right. They were told, make a funny show. So
make a sitcom out of this set of characters.
Right. And it's the type of humor that makes it.
Yeah, and the Tick's insanity and how it plays off of Arthur and all the different personalities of all the different superheroes. And
Yeah, and just in this half-hour look between the Tick and Arthur and the villain that they've introduced, and even the tertiary hero that they introduced, they've really captured that essence very well and very quickly.
and they did it while making parts of it really dark too.
Yeah.
Which is just brilliant because you're sitting there. It's almost like the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, where you go from one where it seems almost like slapstick or anything to the next where people are literally having their throats ripped out. So you start to get this whiplash, but this Tick episode played it perfectly. You got the really dark parts where you're sitting there going, oh crap, this isn't a comedy. People are actually getting killed and injured and scarred for life. And then you go back to the Tick going, go tell it on the mountain, and exploding everything. It's just am I gushing? I'm probably gushing. I think I'm gushing.
A little bit.
I will say it was an interesting, I wasn't expecting the direction they went with it. I mean, yes and no, in the sense of like the Tick, at least in the premiere, is almost a minor character. It's really all about Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's definitely and I think the cartoon kind of was that way too. Arthur was essentially the main character.
Yeah,
and we were always seeing things. We were essentially seeing things through his lens of experience. It was called the Tick, but it was really about Arthur having, being his sidekick and dealing with the hysteria that is the Tick.
Right.
He's the everyman whose eyes we peer through to see things from our point of view.
Exactly.
And get his reactions to them.
And but they gave him more of a backstory in this incarnation, and more of a kind of serious backstory.
Yeah. They definitely did not, keep it light and family friendly with his backstory. Like, he definitely is traumatized from a past that connects to all these things that are going on.
Right. Yes, he has a past that is connected to the Terror, who is dead, or everyone believes is dead. And yes, I don't want to give too much away. Just if you haven't seen it, go watch it now.
Right. It's available on Amazon Prime for free to watch the first episode. And hopefully the more people that watch it, the more people that rate it, then we'll get a full season order and we'll all have more to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah. And not if. Just go and do it. We need a full season of this.
Agreed.
We just, if anything, to have something to watch when Gotham is on.
What is this thing you speak of? I don't know what you're talking about.
You have to fill that time, right? Because that's supposed to be, happy, fun, comic booky time, and well, let's just say we need the Tick.
Look, we made it official. We're not going to talk about that show anymore.
That show.
Yes. It's not a superhero show, so it doesn't qualify.
Right.
Or so they say.
Unlike Riverdale will maybe at some point.
Oh my God. I can't believe
Captain Caveman.
I think it could happen.
That would be
all right.
brilliant.
Why don't you share that with the audience?
Okay. So to bring the audience in on the joke. So Riverdale is coming to the CW this season, which is a live action interpretation of the Archie comics. Josie and the Pussycats were characters that were spun off from that comic book, and both in the comics and in the cartoons, and they will be characters this coming season in the show. And they've released a press photo of Josie and the Pussycats where they were lacking their signature, cat ears and cat tail, which some have sort of made comments about that, but one person astutely noted that's the one case in the cartoons where they didn't have the tail and the ears was when they were in, acting as sort of the angels to counter Captain Caveman and his adventures. And therefore, maybe this is a sign that we will see Captain Caveman in this live action TV show.
And
which
if you get
I'm pretty sure
Caveman,
Brendan Fraser is available.
Yeah.
and should be cast in this role.
Yeah. And Captain Caveman appeared with Blue Falcon and Dynamite, and if you go one step further, there's Kevin Bacon. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get Captain Caveman in the show.
Okay, but if we do, we're talking about it.
Okay.
Do you think we'll get Sabrina?
That's tricky because she's been on television already.
Yeah.
So they'd have to like work out logistics there and TV rights and whatnot. I don't know.
And plus she's making movies with PureFlix now, so that's gonna be hard to get her out of that, I guess.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to that. When is that premiering?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're into that,
I barely know what's happening today, Dave.
That's true. But there was another show that premiered, last week.
Recently, yes.
And that, of course, was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Which I loved it. I thought it was a great introduction. I think it brought us up to speed quickly. I like the Ghost Rider introduction. Generally, though, I've heard that it did not have a good market share. It didn't really get a lot of views, and hopefully that's not a negative sign.
I saw an article saying they got a lot of numbers of people watching it on demand afterwards.
Well, that's good.
Because my guess is that, and like the biggest spike they've ever had with that, and my guess is, everyone, again, has written them off, and they're like, 10 o'clock, I could be,
Yeah. People don't keep track of these schedules, like me. And
and at 10 o'clock, they're ready to watch the porn and then go to bed. And
right.
Hey. But their DVR probably remembered from last season and picked it up.
They're like, oh, wait, here's something I can watch that I didn't realize was going to record. And so then they can watch it, and that picks up the numbers. That's good. Yeah. I actually, oddly, watched it in real time because I don't have a DVR anymore.
Yes, you need to correct that.
I may have to shortly. I'll discuss that later.
It's built into Windows 10. Anyway.
What'd you think of the life model decoy?
I thought that was interesting. I think that it's an interesting, a different take on it because
right.
The life model decoys typically in the comics were built as replicas of specific people,
right?
And essentially could act as not a doppelganger per se. Like a lot of times they were being piloted by the user, especially with Nick Fury's life model decoys. Like it was a lot of times you'd think you had Nick Fury cornered, and like you try to kill him. And it turned out it was a life model decoy the whole time.
Yeah, I was gonna say 99% of life model decoys that came out in the first few years were all modeled after him.
Right.
And it was expensive too. He even got the tech support, pass and the Geek Squad thing, but they kept blowing up.
But he was always but a lot of those incarnations he was directly piloting those life model decoys. So this is a very different take in that it's not modeled after any specific agent or individual, and B, it has its own AI to exist independently.
Well, they also so yeah, they have a life model.
They've gone both ways. They have.
Well, yeah, and the thing is that the life model decoy, the first person they choose to play it is Mallory Jansen, who if you're going to make a life model decoy that's not an AI, that's anatomically correct.
Yeah, I have no arguments with their choice there. It just
I know, but they could have just gone if they're going to go with the life model decoys that are supposed to, help out and be decoys, of course, why the first one you pick is a Victoria's Secrets model.
Look, what I'm looking forward to is later in the season when she's essentially becomes the team's Robo Buffy. Because I think that's where this is headed.
Well, okay. First off, number one, if I was making a life model decoy like that, I wouldn't create a person. I would model her after someone. So like Emma Stone, Angelina Jolie. But anyway.
He may have. It just hasn't really been brought up who he might have modeled her after.
Right. Do you think they're going to go the sentient, is this a person route with this?
They can't, because if they do, I mean, the whole point of the life model decoys is that they're not sentient, and if you include the fact that in the movie universe they just had that problem with
Vision,
with Vision and with Ultron. It just if they go that way, things. Well, they could do it to mess with the plot, but I think they've got enough plot points right now without having to add that in.
Yeah, I don't think they need to go down the philosophical debate necessarily too soon. I think I'm sort of looking forward to the sub arc of Fitz helping him, quote unquote, work out the kinks. Like, I was sort of surprised by that turn later in the episode where he basically said, "We keep the secret, and keep, until we get all the kinks worked out." Even though initially he was very, you shouldn't be doing this in private. You should be telling everyone what you're doing, and then sort of change his own tune.
Well, that's because, after being introduced to it and having to give this whole spiel about I am a shield, I'm here to get destroyed, and given that Simmons is she's getting a lie detector test every freaking day, apparently.
Yeah.
So, it makes sense in that light that he'd have to do that. Of course, we still don't know who's giving the lie detector tests. We don't know who this mysterious boss is. So
yeah, they didn't show him. We know who's playing that part, but I'm surprised we didn't even see just like a, quick him showing up somewhere saying something.
Who's playing the part?
I can't remember the actor's name off the top of my head, but I've seen pictures of him.
I think they said that he'll be in episode 2. So
yeah, that's the name of the second episode. It's like Meet the Boss or something.
Meet the new boss.
Meet the boss. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting direction they've gone, I thought, this season too. Like not only they brought in a new boss, but now they're at this, they split up the team, they're all working in different areas, and
well, it's bigger again. It's back to being a full-fledged agency. And it's probably pulled in some of what's his name's guys, Talbot's.
Right, but there's like this whole nobody trusts them really, and they're all spying on each other again, like all the stuff that Fury tried to dispel. Right, now they're back to that. It's like that quick. It's like they could have built up to that somehow,
Right. Jason O'Mara is the actor who's playing the new director. But even the details, it doesn't say anything besides director as his name.
Yeah, his assistant must be Michael Chertoff, considering that they have the color codes all to figure out who the hell's got what secret. Clearance or whatever. I
kind of found that interesting in that their color codes were not like, it's not as simple like
hierarchy
like a rainbow. There's overlap. So higher clearance, you actually have mixes of colors. So would the highest level of clearance be gray?
No, it'd be white because white is all colors.
I guess that's true.
Haha, go physical science 101. So yes.
Wait, it's all colors in the light spectrum, but with pigment, isn't black the presence of all color?
Don't go all CYMK.
That's the absorption.
Stick with RGB.
Yeah, the absorption of all colors.
And I think Simmons is being a bit greedy with her orange level clearance.
Right. Well, she said she's trying to protect.
That was a reference there.
Oh, fun. Okay, yes. Allow me to talk right over that and completely miss it.
It's not so fun when I have to explain my jokes, John.
Yes, go ahead. Explain your joke. It's funnier that way.
That's okay. Let's see. I'm not going to lay into the Skittles now for that. Actually, I deserve a green one. Let's see. What else are there? Oh yeah, no. So we were right. The Ghost Rider is not full-fledged what he's supposed to be. We might be seeing the penance stare out of him, and
it's hard to say. The version of Ghost Rider that he's the Robbie Reyes incarnation, and he's visually and physically he's a perfect incarnation of that from the comic books.
Right.
The thing about that version from the comic books is that it is different from the Johnny Blaze and other versions. In that he's not imbued with a spirit of vengeance. He was essentially imbued, like the character Robbie Reyes gets gunned down by a bunch of thugs, and comes back to life by being instilled or possessed by essentially a dead serial killer's ghost, who basically gives him these, lets him heal and give him these powers. But they're different. It's a slightly
control
different
over
power
Hellfire
set.
and all that.
Right.
No, he still has control over Hellfire like the rest of them do.
Yes, but the power set is slightly different from other Ghost Riders. I don't think there's been evidence in the comics for that particular version to have that penance stare, but he does have some other abilities such that he can essentially teleport via shadows.
Yes. Yeah, his car can teleport, and he can teleport himself.
Right.
So, but it's not instantaneous.
Right. And both he and his car can essentially be invulnerable.
Yeah, I figured since DC sucks so bad now, I'd start learning Marvel stuff. So.
But they also have the little brother who, from the comics, he has a little brother who's younger in the comics, who's wheelchair bound.
Right.
Mm.
Yes,
and they're also
as Quake pointed out, everyone's got a weakness.
Yep.
Yeah, but I find it interesting that they're pushing Daisy's problem with her bones shattering. Like they're harping on that.
Well, it's not a new problem. Like that was a problem before, and given what she's been up against, it's not surprising that she's running into that problem.
Yeah, but you don't, as a storyteller, you wouldn't mention that so prominently unless you were going to make it a point later.
Right.
And how do you get around? I mean, I'm not familiar with the comics with Quake in them, but does that become an issue with her where she can't use her powers anymore? Does she lose them because of that, or she can't use them without, destroying herself? Or
well, remember last season, Simmons made a pair of gloves for her that helped reduce that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but it ended up making the problem worse because of it was channeling it the wrong way and ended up causing her to have more internal damage.
Right, but
less.
That's the whole thing, is now they can flip that this season. They come up with one that actually helps her, but she needs them. That's how they get back together, in a way.
Could be. And in the comics, I don't know, honestly, I don't know enough about the comic version of the character to speak to if that's a problem that she faces in the comics. But I do know that she does almost ever presently wear these gauntlets on her hands and her wrists, and her forearms that I assume help her direct her power, but it could be related to a similar problem that she has otherwise.
Right. I don't think I've read anything that has her in it. And then, of course, the fact that they did go Robbie Reyes with this incarnation means they've left the door open
for Nicolas Cage.
For Nicolas Cage to come in.
Oh God, no, the bees.
I just wanted to put that out there.
Well, maybe if they have somebody in bear costume that needs to be there, have their lights punched out. And if you need that reference explained to you, go through the Nostalgia Critic stuff and look for, what was the name of that movie? God, it was a movie with all the witches on the island that drove them nuts. I forget what it is, but Nostalgia Critic has it. And if you want more information about Quake, like say we do, there's a guy on the YouTube called there's a channel called Comics Explained. The guy's very good. He's basically a supercomputer that stores comic information, and there's a video on that on Daisy Johnson / Quake.
Okay,
so,
very cool.
Yes, but so we can only hope that we'll get Nicolas Cage.
Oh, if they did that, just the ratings would go up just to watch the self-destruction.
Exactly. That's the point.
You never know if you're going to get Crazy Cage or Crazier Cage.
And all right, so and then of course they spent time showing, of course, what Coulson has been up to, and essentially he's trying to work under the radar to find Daisy or Quake or Sky or whatever her name is this season.
Yeah. And I did find some of the, duplicitousness around that kind of amusing and interesting, in that, like, basically May had given them secret intel about her being there, but, like, had her sending them out there be under the guise of something else.
Right.
And when Simmons found out about it, to cover her own ass, sent May and the team out after them, but knowing that she would just as much be helping them as reining them in. So there's a lot of weird duplicitous, I don't want to say backdoor action, but
but you said it anyway.
I did.
There's a lot of under the table shuffling going on.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, well, it's going to be, I kind of like the idea. I like shows where you've got the main group or the main character and they're constantly going up against things. The whole infighting thing gets really old because it can be a plot trap where you have to constantly explain how people are changing their minds as to whether or not to trust a person from one episode to the next. And it gets so bad that you don't even care about the characters anymore. So I hope they don't push that too hard.
It's new for them, and hopefully they'll know where to keep it reined in. I mean, it is it's Jed Whedon and his wife working on this. I'm pretty sure they know the line. I did actually enjoy. I found it interesting, at least. Yo-Yo's sort of
We
dual
were
allegiance, like being both on the team and helping out, but also sort of secretly helping Daisy out as well.
yeah. And her hitting on what's his face. I mean,
Yeah,
wow.
Mac.
Talk about
Mac.
yeah. Talk about macking on the Mac. Apparently, she's just
Yeah.
she's going after him like completely. I mean, she did everything except throw him down on the floor for crying out loud. That's fun.
That's why
And
they moved
Mac,
it to 10, folks.
yeah, Mac's an idiot. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
They'll
and
figure it
so
out.
speaking of that, like moved it to 10 for more mature audiences. Like I will
Oh,
say,
we had blood. We had
There was
blood.
we had
yeah.
blood, a good amount of blood in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes, and
So worth it. Totally worth it.
we had a naked life model decoy. I mean, obviously they didn't show
Nudity.
nudity.
It
They
was
Show
close
butt.
though. I mean, I've seen more from like Orphan Black and other cable shows, but it was pretty for a network show. That was surprising.
Yes, and then of course, like we just said, Yo-Yo trying to seduce Mac. So is that the tone they're setting up for this season? Is that going to continue? You think?
I think there's a good chance for it, yeah. And I mean, definitely look, you have a guy whose power is fire based. I think, and Daisy out there using her powers a little bit more recklessly. You're gonna have some blood, and
You're
and
gonna
I'm
you're gonna have collateral damage is what you're
Right.
gonna have.
Like,
And I mean, they finally gave Mac a shotgun axe in the end of last season. So if he's going to use that this season, you got to have that 10 o'clock time slot.
He's gonna go all Ash on the Evil Dead. He's gonna go all Ash on the Ghost Rider.
collateral damage, like Daisy's uniform being burned off. Oh, sorry. That's only in my fan fiction.
I'm sure there's some forums where you can find that.
Are we moving this podcast to 10 p.m.? I just want to know.
Yes.
So yeah, overall, I was actually pleased with it. I'm just, I can't wait to see how it goes. I hope the viewership goes up. Although if they keep the DVR numbers up, that's fine. I think.
Yeah, and I'm glad to hear that that's actually made up for some of the slump initially. And I'm on board. Like I like what they've done so far, and I'm interested to see where it goes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it might turn out that bringing Ghost Rider on this would be the best idea they could have had because I still don't understand why the viewership was declining, but because it's damn good and the characters are fun and they're interesting and they're engaging. So
yeah, I think they lost some with the slow build in season 1, and a lot of those people haven't necessarily come back.
Well, just throw some blood on a fiery chain and should be able to pull at least a few new ones in.
Exactly. Flaming skulls, naked robots, they got everything that you could want.
You know what
So.
they could have that might make it a little better?
What?
Stanley.
No. A psychopath with a gun going around shooting all the bad guys.
Oh yeah, that is true. They could have that. And maybe they will. Apparently, at least the actor wants a piece
Okay,
of it.
so
I love that actor. That actor is awesome.
Let me just say that this is still in the rumor mill, but this is a rumor I hope more than anything is true.
Or comes true.
Yes. That John Barenthal, who played Barenthal. Come on. Everyone take a shot, okay?
Yes.
Who
played Punisher.
Who played Punisher? Who played Punisher on Daredevil?
Yeah.
Is going to be on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. This rumor came from a couple different sources, or a couple different reasoning. First off, the creator of Punisher was at the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. premiere that they had at Marvel, and Jed Whedon got up and said that it'll make sense later on why all these guys are here, because they had some other creators there as well.
Right. And there was also a scheduling issue with John Barenthal.
He was originally, I believe, supposed to be at New York Comic Con all 4 days, where John and I will be next week. And
But as it turns out, he'll only be there for 2 of the days.
He will only be there for 2 days because
of Marvel filming commitments.
Yes, Marvel filming commitments, which everyone said it could mean one of two things. They're already working on the Punisher series secretly, which I kind of find that to be next to impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Or
they've been pretty strict about the 2 shows per year.
Right, or he's guesting on something else, which
that pretty much leaves one thing. I mean, he could guest in Iron Fist, I guess.
Right.
But the more likely, I didn't even think they started production on Iron Fist yet. I don't think they did. So it seems more likely that he's going to be on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes. And there have been stories with Punisher and Ghost Rider, of course, in the comics. One being a human of vengeance, and the other being the spirit of vengeance.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because if this Ghost Rider does have the pen and stare, I would be interested in seeing that pairing because one of the comic hallmarks of Punisher is that he's not affected by it.
Right. Yeah.
Because he knows what he's done and he doesn't feel any guilt over it.
Right.
Oh, is it him and Venom? Venom isn't affected by it either.
Yeah.
Right.
So, all right. See, I did research. I am so happy with myself right now. Oh man, no, it would be nice. I still don't understand why they haven't done many or any real crossovers yet. Seeing as how, I mean, the one thing DC is doing well is, you've got Arrow on the Flash on Supergirl, and Supergirl doing a crossover with all of them later, and everybody flying in and out of Legends of Tomorrow.
Right.
There's no reason why we can't see Kristen Ritter step onto the plane, or
You're right, but I think that the DC TV world has made it super easy for that because their seasons correlate time-wise. The continuity correlates well. So writing those stories is a bit easier. With the Marvel TV universe, if you even just looking at the TV universe, the disparity in how things are laid out for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. versus all of the Netflix stuff, it does make it a little bit challenging. But given that they have such a wide berth of time right now, with a bunch of the characters, I honestly don't see it being too big of an issue to have more than one. Like they could have, like you said, they could have Punisher, they could have Jessica Jones. I doubt we'll see Luke Cage show up this season per se.
Mm-hmm.
They let him shine on his own show first.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a couple of those characters who we won't see again until Defenders that we could easily, see a little interstitial nod of them in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Which would be nice. Then you could have Lady Sith on there, and you'd have yourself a fight.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
I want to see a drinking contest between her and Jessica Jones.
There you go.
Oh, that would be so awesome.
Drinking and arm wrestling.
Drunk arm wrestling.
There you go.
You throw a little, kiddie pool with some Jello, and
Oh, you had to go there.
Yeah. See, you see. That's what you do. That's
well,
who
would really like to see that would be Stan Lee.
Yes.
He'd sell tickets.
And speaking of the great Stan Lee, it was revealed that they've already filmed his next 4 cameos.
Oh, is there something about his health we don't know then?
No, but he is in his 90s.
Hold on. No,
I'm having
said
another skill
anything
for
about
that.
Don't you?
I just did. I just said that, and you know what? When I said it, I heard it, and that means that I've heard about something about his health.
So you heard it here first, folks.
No,
we have an exclusive.
No, don't start. No. I do not want to be responsible for starting that rumor. No.
It's like Doctor Who said. Don't you think she looks a little bit tired?
Yes, I remember that. That was a good episode. But no, in all honesty, even if there's absolutely nothing wrong with him, it's a smart move to get ahead on that because you never know with these things. I mean, he's not a young whippersnapper these days.
No.
So
he's 90, 91?
Something like that. Yeah, he's in his early 90s.
Yes.
So
So of course those cameos were Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Thor Ragnarok. So we at least know he will be in those 4 movies.
Yeah.
I wonder if they could do Infinity War, or they don't even have do they have the script for that yet? I don't think
Well,
they
he's
do.
apparently there's while this was going on, there was a production meeting going on where they're talking about his cameos for Black Panther and Infinity War. So
Yeah, they're speculating that those are the 4 that he's done these cameos for. They know that one of them was for Doctor Strange,
right.
because he was doing production in London, and that's where they're doing a lot of the filming for that. But they're speculating that the other 3 are Guardians, Spider-Man, and Thor, because
So
those
the
are the next to be
3 coming
released.
out, yeah.
But it's possible that that 1 or 2 of those could have alternately been for Black Panther or Avengers of Infinity War.
Well, I'm sure at this point he just has a green screen set up at his house. They could
Yeah.
just walk by the screen. Okay. And then they'll just ask what's going.
Eventually it'll just be mocap. He'll just he'll just have a mocap room in his house.
And then Andy Serkis will play him in the next cameo.
Exactly. He's very spry now.
But he keeps talking about Precious. I don't understand.
I think he can still do his own voice work at least.
Yeah. Don't.
Very distinctive voice.
Don't do it, John. John, stop. Anyway.
I'm not going to say it. I'll tweet it.
No, that is a man of steel. Like, he is not going away anytime soon.
I think he's famous words.
Quite a while.
No. But he will be at New York Comic Con next weekend.
Yes.
And John will fight his way to meet the man.
Yes, I've got my chains and whips. Oh wait, that's not that equipment.
I thought that was for the hotel room.
That's for a different guest.
No, that would be awesome if like getting an interview with him would probably be like, you get that. The next thing you do is you buy a couple of lotto tickets. But we can always try.
Well, I mean, if it's anything like every past convention that I've ever seen, when he is signing, it's just do right through. He doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it was with Agent Carter. They just whip you right through, and it's like, turn this way. What? Click. You get a photo worse than the DMV photo that you get, and then they whip you through the signing booth. It's just you barely get to say 2 words to them.
He got whipped? Wait a minute. She whipped you?
Ha ha ha.
He paid extra for that.
Okay.
Yeah, you should have seen the badge picture for that one. No, I don't know. It used to be like 20 years ago when I used to go to these originally, and it was mostly Trek back then, but you had a lot of time to spend with some of these people. It wasn't like this whole production where that you have less time than you would with the president, for crying out loud.
Yes. Well, they've grown a little bit.
But we're going to try, because we're superhero speak, damn it.
Yes, we are. Damn it.
Yeah, I've got cards that say that now. Ha ha.
Yes, and he will be handing them out at New York.
Speaking of superheroes,
well, and they're hard enough too, so I can fling them and probably hit Stan Lee upside the head with one from across the room.
Don't be trying to be Gambit at the Comic-Con.
But he'd appreciate that.
On a level, yes. After you were beaten down by security and it was removed from his forehead.
But he'd have our card. He'll know our name. He may curse it for the rest of his life, but he will know our name.
I think I know what the topic will be for our next comic book now, John.
Oh, crap. Oh, no.
It'll be centered around the brony.
Yeah.
Yes, and how he does in prison? Is that what you're saying?
Speaking of superheroes speaking,
yes.
We got our first clip of Superman action on Supergirl.
By the way, I did try to give you a segue to that a minute ago.
I know. But some people don't stop talking.
I know.
Yeah, the lithium ion battery on that burned out completely and took it out. Just like that joke. Go ahead.
Yes.
So
I got what you were.
You've seen the clip?
I have the page up where the clip exists. I don't know if I've actually watched it.
Oh my goodness!
It's been a busy week.
Yeah, that's what they'll say. It's only Monday. So basically, there's a spacecraft that's crashing, and you see Clark Kent on the phone, talking to Perry White, which mirrors a little bit the introduction of Supergirl in the first episode, from the first season, where she's on the phone with Kat, and she's, oh yeah, I'll be there, blah blah, getting yelled at or whatever. So they're trying to say, I guess there's a parallel between Clark and Kara.
Well,
the
I
one
think that is the bumbling Clark Kent. I mean, that's sort of part of his
shtick.
Yeah.
And then of course there's a TV behind them, and there's a news article starts, and they're talking about this spaceship that's crashing. There's 200 people on it, and then you cut to Kara watching the news where she is, and they keep going back and forth, and then you hear the the one announcer go, "I hope he's listening," and you see him start run off, to pull his shirt open, and then you see where Kara is, "I hope she's listening."
Yep.
It's like, really? Are we going to be that obvious?
Yep.
Yeah,
we are.
That pandering, and then of course they both save the plane, they start saving the plane. I mean, it looked good. It looked decent. It was I'm still not sure I'm sold on him as Superman yet, but
yeah, we'll give him some time.
Right. But it also, again, it's just leading up to all of what we talked about last time, with him being a part of the show like this now. Kind of, what's the point?
The one thing I'm upset about is that they kind of gave hints of the Zimmer music for him. So, sorry, man.
Get over it, John.
Yes.
No,
move past it.
I can't. I will never get past that. That is going to be something I will harp on for the rest of my life. You can't beat Williams.
No one tries to. No one tries to beat Williams.
All right,
it's just you can't always afford Williams.
There you go.
Anyway, yes.
So if they can't afford Williams, don't do it at all. That's his point. So yeah. I mean, it's just that'll be in the premiere episode next week, right? No, not next week. 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think. Well,
she's late. No, she's later.
Yeah, she's delayed. That's right.
Yeah, she's later than everyone else.
Next week we get Flash and Arrow.
Yes.
And I think the following week we get Supergirl and Legends.
Right. Yes. Because there's probably an Arrow tie-in to Flashpoint. That's probably why we're getting him same week.
Because it's only one episode.
Yes. Wait, what?
You haven't heard that? That basically the director, essentially, like in talking about Flashpoint event, has sort of minimized the impact now. Like at one point in talking about it,
did you just bring a leak, John?
In the Flashpoint episode.
No, it's just me trying to assume my persona of the DC apologist.
Yes. So he's essentially, he didn't explicitly say it's only one episode long, but he essentially alluded to it being resolved within an episode or maybe an episode and a half.
Why would you do that?
I told you guys. I predicted it.
Yeah, you actually did. Yeah. That's kind of scary, actually.
You know how these guys work.
Well, as chief DC apologist, I'm sorry. I am so sorry.
You should be. So
I am.
So okay.
You know what? As penance, I'll go watch the show that shall not be named.
But it looks like not we weren't going to talk about it, but it looks like all the extended clips extended promos they've been showing for Flash look really good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to actually have Reverse Flash. In
Legends, right?
Well, he's going to be on Flash first.
Yeah.
So he'll be on Flash first, and I'll probably set up how he ends up being part of the team in Legends. Like how he gets because they showed a lot of clips of him and Barry, talking about what he's going through and, him being captured. I'd imagine the resolution to all of this will be that he will eventually fix the Flashpoint paradox, and Reverse Flash will get away somehow or go somewhere else, have his powers and be able to escape. And that's when he'll become part of this League of Doom. Right. Because or Legion of Doom.
And he's talking about, again, how he screwed up the timeline, created a world for himself. And that leads, again, to another interesting point because, and we won't, we'll find out soon. But the whole, like paradox kind of thing. Well, he's dead in the other reality. So if Barry switches it back, how can he be in Legends of Tomorrow as the part of the Legion of Doom? So
Technically,
Because-
you can't switch completely back.
Because wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff.
yes, we'll see. And it's interesting because Matt Lesher.
Lesher.
You don't pronounce the T. Yeah, Matt Lesher actually gets to reprise his role as Reverse Flash.
Yeah, it'll be good for him because I know that he only got very limited time to
Right.
wear that suit in previous seasons.
And he was pretty good.
Yeah,
That'd be
he's a good actor.
Yes, that'd be an interesting question if we ever got him on the show.
Yeah, we'll have to see what we can do about that.
Yes. So in the meantime, yeah. So again, just it looked good. We'll have to see, and again, we'll have to see. Back to Supergirl. We'll have to see how much Superman affects the season. It's gonna be a hard balance, a hard line to walk because, like you've said this quite a few times, Ben. Like now that you have him out there, he's out in front of you. Like you can't put him back in the box.
Right. You have to. It's going to be a difficult tightrope act for them to play to not have this turn into, the supers.
The supers.
Like they've got to be careful not to keep this a show about Supergirl,
Right.
And try to avoid, I'm open to it. I'm interested in what they're going to do with it. Having him actually show up and have a face is better than what they did with him last season. So, it's like I said, it's all or nothing. The middle ground sucks, and hopefully they'll handle it right.
Yes. All right. So the last thing I wanted to talk about this week.
Yes.
There was a dubious list that was put out on the internet. We saw it shared around on Facebook. In fact, I believe the Nerdist shared this list.
Yeah, they did. That sort of kind of gave me some pause.
Right. That's just how we became aware of it. And
Yes.
it is the 21... it's the Daily Dot did the list.
Yeah, which normally I would ignore a story from the Daily Dot because they're sort of a bubblegum,
Right.
pop culture-ish
But
publication.
again,
Timsy.
since the Nerdist shared it, it got our attention. And it is the 21 best, quote-unquote, superhero movies ranked.
By the way, the quote-unquote is not part of the article title. That's just how Dave is framing it.
Well, I have an issue because right off the bat, Sky High is number 21 on the list.
Yeah.
That actually should have been higher than that. I mean lower. I mean, it should have been farther down the list. That was a really good show, actually.
You mean movie?
Yeah.
Well, but hold on. It was a made-for-TV movie that was on Disney.
It had Linda Carter on it.
I thought that was actually in the theaters. I'm pretty sure it was.
Was it?
Yeah, it was
I don't
in the
remember.
theater. Yeah.
Okay, I never saw it in the theater. I always thought it was just made for TV.
And it
No,
had
no.
Linda Carter in it, for crying
It
out
did.
loud.
Okay.
And it had Panabaker in it.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. It did.
And also the girl who went on to be, what was her name? Ramona Flowers.
I don't know.
That's one of those
Mary
weird
Elizabeth
confluences of talent,
It was. And
It was, but I wasn't a big fan of it. So
I'll put it this way. I actually really enjoyed it, but I would never put it on a list of best superhero movies.
Why?
Well, okay.
I mean,
it depends on how long the list
your
is. It
reasoning
depends on how long the
right,
list
it's
is.
20. If you're only going
If you're talking about-
21,
If I'm stack ranking every superhero movie that there is,
there
I
aren't
would
that
definitely-
many of them.
I know. I would definitely put it above several others' attempts, like, for instance, Batman's 3 and 4.
oh, okay. So they're not that many. There's a lot more superhero movies than you think, but
Yeah.
we won't get into that.
Wait a minute. Did you say you would put that after Batman Forever? Because I'm going to
No,
have
I'm
to
saying
purchase
I'm
that.
saying I would rank it higher. I would rank it. It would be above, not
Yeah,
in number,
right.
but in ranking.
He would have it on the list and hide it higher, but he wouldn't. If he's only doing 21, there's other ones that didn't make this list
Exactly.
that deserve to be
Exactly.
on here.
Okay, but as long as it comes before Batman Forever and every Fantastic Four movie ever made.
They're not even on the list, so don't.
Right.
Good.
Okay,
Yes.
Big Hero 6 was 20.
Which was a good movie too.
It was a good movie, but it's not. It doesn't. To me, it doesn't fit the genre.
It does. It's a hero movie.
If you keep the genre loose, then
If
it does fit.
Yeah, right. If you're keeping it loose, but I kind of try to keep it hardcore comic book. But that's me.
We know how you are. idea.
Yes.
Yeah, but if you
Okay.
do that, there
But
aren't
then
that
here you
many
go.
movies to choose.
All the way down at 19, we have Deadpool.
Yeah, that's wrong. And I made the comments like I thought for a minute the list was backwards because Deadpool should be close to the top.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
8.
Maybe it's up 19 because of the rated R. Maybe that was like
And
factored
further, the lowest ranked X-Men movie on this list at number 18 was X-Men First Class,
in, which is
I think
also bad. Wrong. It should have been
Right.
up.
there should be the only X-Men movie that could possibly rank above that on any list is X-Men Days of Future Past, and that's contentious.
Yeah.
But they have others besides
So wait,
that.
you mean Last Stand? You don't think? Anyway, okay, and then number 17. I don't think this should be above Deadpool or First Class at all.
No, but it should rank somewhere in the list. I mean, Chronicle was pretty good.
I'll admit I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really judge.
Yeah, I didn't care for it either.
Well, that was one of those first person. It was those lost footage
I mean, it was
films,
more,
but with crazy kids who had powers and were killing people.
It was more realistic in the fact that, like, yes, if kids got powers, they're not going to go and
how stupid would they be?
Well, right. It's not that great.
Yeah.
They didn't get the great power comes great responsibility speech. So
right,
but don't forget.
I'll say this about it: even if it was a wonderful, wonderful movie, it did put Dane DeHaan in a light to be cast as Little Osborn, and Michael B. Jordan in the limelight enough to be cast as Johnny Storm, and Josh Trank in the director's seat of Fantastic Four.
So it should never be on a list because of it.
Right. Its collateral effect was horrendous.
Number 16, we get Iron Man 3.
Which was a good movie. It was definitely, I think that was a solid Iron Man movie.
It was. It gets a lot of flack because he doesn't spend a lot of time in the suit flying around blowing stuff up. But he has way more suits and pretty awesome ones at that. And that was the kind of the point of the movie is that, again, he said, because he wraps up the movie by saying it, that he is Iron Man. He doesn't need the suit to be the hero anymore.
Yes, and which he then immediately goes out and builds 20 more suits.
Yes.
15 is Blade.
Now, this is the one that makes me think that they're not just ranking the superhero movies on their own merit, but on the merit of what effect they had on the genre. Because Blade came first; it was the first one to really get people in the seats, and Blade, it was the first one to make these superhero movies or comic book movies viable.
Blade was the movie that washed Batman and Robin taste out everyone's mouth.
Yes.
Well, yes, and made it viable again.
Yes. Then we have Unbreakable at 14,
which arguably was one of Shyamalan's good movies.
Yes.
Well, if you take the last 10 minutes off of it, the beginning of it up to the last 10 minutes belongs up the list. You add the last 10 minutes, and it's like that adding a spoonful of sewage to a barrel full of wine thing. You still have sewage.
I did not have a problem with the ending. My only problem with the ending is that it seemed to set up for
a sequel,
for a possibility, for a sequel, and it never came.
Right.
Well, I'm sure they'll make that right after they finish Gem and the Holograms.
Well, you should actually go over to Screen Junkies interviewed Patton Oswalt last year, and he had a whole plan for 2 sequels for a trilogy. Involving, spinning off of Unbreakable, and I thought it was a great idea.
So was the twist that they didn't make them?
No.
So at number 13...
Do we need to talk about 13?
Oh, God. Why? How is this in there?
Again,
this is what invalidates this entire list.
I know. I agree.
X-Men
2.
2. Not Last Stand, thank goodness. 2.
Not even X-Men 1. Like, X-Men 2 does not belong on this list, period.
I would put
X-Men 1 could be on this list, but much, much lower than this position.
And I would put X-Men Origins Wolverine on here before X-Men 2.
All right, now you're going a little far.
Oh, no, I'm not.
No. X-Men 2 was horrible, but X-Men Wolverine Origins was way worse.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I agree.
just because they destroyed Deadpool doesn't mean...
Huh.
They destroyed a lot of things in that
Yes.
movie.
And then number 12.
They were essentially X-Men Origins Wolverine
Mhm.
was essentially what Tyler Durden did to that blonde dude.
All right.
He
All
wanted to
right.
destroy something pretty.
Yes.
Okay.
No. Okay, fine. I'll give you that. But yeah, X-Men 2, I don't know why it's even on the list. Number 12, Superman.
There should be 2 entries for this Superman.
Yeah, at least there should be an asterisk here.
Yeah, there should be a Donner cut, and then there's the one that actually made it to the screen.
That's Superman 2.
But see, you're assuming the Daily Dot knows about the Donner cut.
Yes. I don't think they know anything about superhero movies because I'm reading this list.
And it doesn't just go for Superman 2. The original movie was also interfered with. I mean, not to the extent that Superman 2 was, but if it was all Donner, we wouldn't have had some of the stupid, gags that they put in there and the weird powers and all.
Number 11.
Mm-hmm.
The first Captain America movie, first Avenger.
It belongs on the list. It belongs higher on the
list. Yeah.
It wasn't the best of the Captain Americas, so it's like...
No, but this list is suspect in a lot of other ways. Honestly, as far as I'm concerned, anything in the top 10 should be Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Yes, but we're going to start with number 10, Batman Returns.
Right.
Which should be way farther up the... I mean, back farther.
I am going to print this list, and I will burn it. Just because of that.
I mean, a penguin who actually eats live fish in front of you.
Stop talking. Just stop talking.
And then he comes in your Happy Meal toy as your Happy Meal toy afterwards.
The
Number 9.
Number 9, Thor.
Thor was good.
Yes.
I have no problem with any of the Thor movies so far.
All right, so we'll leave that at number 9.
That was easy.
Number 8, Spider-Man. And of course, we're talking about the 2002.
Yeah. The originals,
movie.
It was important at the time. It was a good movie at the time. I honestly, and I think you would agree with me on this, Dave, Spider-Man 2 was a better Spider-Man movie than the first Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2 was the best of the original trilogy.
Of the original trilogy, yes. Clearly, Spider-Man 3 was the worst. But yeah, Spider-Man 2 should be on this list instead if any Spider-Man were to be on this list. But I'm okay with Spider-Man being on the list. I just don't know if it ranks as high of a ranking as it's gotten.
Well, that's because Tobey Maguire still looked like he was under 30 at the time.
Yes, he did. The next one surprises me a lot.
Hellboy 2, The Golden Army.
I mean, I liked the movie. It was a good movie, but it was not well received or well rated critically.
And it wasn't as good as the first, as far as I'm concerned.
I was about to say, everyone likes the first one better.
The first one was perfect, and the first one's not on their list. Yeah. And so this makes zero sense to me.
Yes.
Number 6, The Avengers.
Yeah, now why they have Uma Thurman and the Avengers on here, I really don't understand how it made it into this movie.
Well, I mean, Uma Thurman is a very...
No.
Yeah, and Ralph Fiennes is, well, he's fine. And he's
especially when he had a nose.
We're talking about the first Avengers movie where they go against Loki. And the
Loki Pokey stick.
The Loki Pokey stick.
Had a Pokey stick, too.
So, yes.
But, yeah, the Avengers absolutely belongs on this list. I think it needs to be much higher than number 6. But...
Just for the lack of people not dressed in bear suits.
Number 5. Now, this belongs in the top 5, but I think it should be a little higher.
I agree.
Is The Dark Knight.
Yes, this was like as close as you could have gotten to, a good Batman movie.
Yeah, and honestly, and I thought Batman Begins was a good Batman movie too. And that should be on this list instead of Batman Returns.
God, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number 4, Iron Man.
Iron Man, which kicked off the whole universe thing, and it was good. I liked it.
Technically, the Incredible Hulk kicked off the universe. Iron Man just did it better.
Yes.
Yeah. What was it? Ang Lee? No, I don't.
No, not that one.
That was Hulk.
That was Hulk. The Eric Bana one is non-canon, not part of the MCU.
Well, there have been so many of them, I get confused.
But the second one, the Incredible Hulk, which had Ed Norton in it, is canon to the MCU. That's why we
talking the guy who played Banner or the Hulk?
The story of that movie and those characters is canon, which is why we saw the same actor, William Hurt, playing Thunderbolt Ross in the recent Captain America movie.
Right.
because that is a continuation.
Ah,
Are you straight now?
no.
Oh,
But go on. Number
This is
3,
not the thing we're talking
X-Men.
about.
number 3, the first X-Men movie.
Again, I'm kind of okay with this being on the list, but it definitely doesn't deserve to be number 3.
Right.
I mean, if we're talking about impact,
Which
that
is
the
what
movie
they talk
had
about
on
in this
the
list.
on the industry, then sure, it should be high on the list. But if they're talking about just the quality of the movies alone, it doesn't deserve as high a spot.
Number 2, the 1989 Batman.
I will always have a soft spot in my heart for this movie.
Yes.
That said, there were better Batman movies.
That's it. See, my issue with putting this at number 2 means that you're ranking Jack Nicholson's Joker above Heath Ledger's.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work for me.
Well, you know what? Maybe this belies the age of the people that were making this list. I mean, Batman, the 1989 version, was the first superhero movie that I sat online for.
Yeah.
You know, besides Star Wars, that's when I really remember standing in line for and getting there early because it was so popular at the time.
Back then, online meant something entirely different.
Yes. Yeah. Caveat.
Yes, it meant actually being in a line.
Yes.
Right.
But yeah, not logged into Fandango, hitting the button to get the tickets. But yeah, I agree though that Heath Ledger's it belongs high on the list, but not as high up as some of these other guys.
Yeah,
definitely.
And the number 1 movie on the Daily Dot's 21 best superhero movies list is Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Again, it was a good movie.
Yes.
It was an excellent movie. I would definitely have it in my top 5. Number 1, I don't know. That's a long discussion.
Yes.
I will say that the Russo brothers have definitely proven themselves with this movie and with other movies since. And they are an excellent part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But I don't know.
I find it interesting that they didn't put Civil War in here.
Yeah, I agree. Especially since it's such a recent list, and Civil War I thought was a great movie. Again, if it was my list, it would probably be in the top 10.
I am upset that Batman Mask of the Phantasm isn't on here. It had a theatrical release.
It did.
It had one of the best portrayals of the Joker ever, while still using Mark Hamill's voice, and they pulled out all the stops. It was an amazing story, and it was Bruce Timm at his best. It was in theaters. I think it's one of the best ones out there. I really do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, if they were considering animated, then maybe it would have made the list. But it seems like they're focused on live action.
Then I'll wait for the sequel to Howard the Duck.
Yes, coming soon.
Also known as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yeah.
Which, again, that's another movie that I would have put in my top 10.
Oh, speaking of that,
Guardians of the Galaxy
that's
Volume
true.
1.
Oh yeah, that would be way up there. That was right up there with Deadpool. That was amazing when that came out.
Real quick, what's his name? The director of Guardians of the Galaxy, Gunn.
Yeah, James Gunn. James Gunn.
Did you catch his live Facebook thing he did not too long ago?
I don't believe I did.
So he did one of those live Facebook things, and he had people asking him questions, and one of the questions is, "Are we going to see more Howard the Duck?" And he said he would definitely love to add more Howard in.
You know what they need to do? They need to do a movie of Deadpool's roast with Howard. They need to do Deadpool murders the Marvel Universe.
Well, they might eventually. Yeah. We shall see.
Well, I mean, they may have to, given that Tony Stark, what's his name? Oh my God, why can't I remember his name?
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. Yeah, it might be the only way he can get out of his contract. Have Deadpool murder him. There you go.
Perhaps.
So I want to say thank you to Andy, one of our listeners, for bringing that list also to our attention as well.
And past cohorts,
yes,
too.
And past cohorts or coworker. Yes. I don't know. I really don't. There's not there's little explanations. We'll have a link to this list in the show notes. There's little explanations for each one. Kind of why they like them.
Yeah, don't be surprised if there are little angry faces drawn
But
all over
there's
it.
no like overall explanation of what they based this list on and what they compiled it. It just seems like the person who wrote the list, Gavia Baker, Whitelaw, just randomly picked 21 movies they liked, and there you go.
Maybe it's by box office
it's
too.
a way to put a list together, I guess.
Maybe they just generated it off of IMDb with the box office.
It could be, but they actually put text under each of them explaining why how they felt about it.
So they hooked it up to Wikipedia.
All right. So
I wish I were joking about that, but they're actually doing that kind of thing these days.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm not going to assume that per se. I do think that they I don't know, from a fan of these movies with I'd like to think an iota of geek cred. I don't think that this list meshes with what most people's top movies would be.
Yeah, because if it did, you'd see I Am 4 on it.
John with the deep cuts.
Yes, he cuts me deeply. It's a joke.
Anyway,
you know, something interesting about this list is
what's that?
A lot of the people in the movies, the people in these movies, they wear capes.
They do. Well, yeah, a lot more than I would have in my list.
Yep.
And they don't walk around with pineapples or pens.
Nope, they do not.
Boy. Or honey badgers, for that matter, if we're going to go down that road.
You know, Tim Cook is going to see that video and it's going to give him an idea, though.
Really?
Oh, no.
All right. Well, enough foolishness. On that note, boys and girls, as we say each and every week, don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.
PPAP. I have a pen. I have an apple. Apple pen. I have a pen. I have pineapple. Pineapple pen. Apple pen. Pineapple pen. Pen pineapple apple pen. Pen pineapple apple pen.